Sunday morning Zoom meeting. We are in California at 5 a.m. and Ishan Prabhu 6 a.m. So maybe Ishan Prabhu, you can introduce the topic today and then we'll get going.
I'd like to I'd like to speak about on chanting Hare Krishna. On chanting Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini. Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratashe Namaha. Namo Brahmanaya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitayacha Jagadatai Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So today we're going to speak on today's topic on chanting Hare Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna. Actually, the truth is, we have no qualification for speaking of such things. But it's only in the association of devotees that we can speak of such things with the desire to try and understand the path. This is the facts that we want more and more, little by little, somehow or other, to understand how to go forward in this Krishna consciousness. And we do this. So by speaking like this, hopefully little by little, our hearts become purified. So we're talking about on chanting Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says, as far as possible, the chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that immediate effect can be achieved. So let's examine these statements, such a statement, that we should be, as far as possible, we should hear the chanting of the holy name from the lips of a pure devotee. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada says that one moment's association with a pure devotee, just one moment can save us, can give us life in the spiritual world. We can go back home, back to Godhead. In that one moment, and similarly, in the book by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Sri Harinam Chintamani, Haridas, Srila Haridas Thakur is explaining to Lord Chaitanya, at Lord Chaitanya's request. Lord Chaitanya wants to understand, or he wants to hear the glories of the holy name. And he wants to hear the process that's described. He wants to hear descriptions of the process of how we can chant the holy name successfully. So he's asking Haridas Thakur, and one of the things Haridas Thakur is saying, that one should always chant when one is chanting Hare Krishna, he should always be remembering in his heart the form of Radha and Krishna and our spiritual master. We should always be remembering our spiritual master while we're chanting the holy name. So here we have these three different sentences. As far as possible, we should be hearing from the chanting of the holy name from the pure devotee. And even if we can hear him for one moment, that can be sufficient, because in that one moment, we can have the memory of that moment in our heart, which can expand for eternity. And we should always, when we're chanting, we should remember our spiritual master and remember what we have learned in that one moment, and remember, as far as possible, hearing from the pure devotee, hearing from our spiritual master. Because it says also in our literature that when the sound vibration coming from the mouth of a pure devotee, that sound vibration is decorated with the saffron dust particles that are on Krishna's lotus feet. That sound vibration of Srila Prabhupada's chanting is decorated with saffron dust particles on Krishna's lotus feet. That, for that reason, so that we can taste those saffron dust particles, we should, as far as possible, hear the chanting from the lips of that pure devotee who can give us that taste. So this is an amazing transcendental concept. Again and again, Srila Prabhupada, he instructs us, he explains to us that we should not think of the spiritual master as an ordinary human being. He appears before us. He looks like a human being, but actually his role is much different. Just like Krishna appears before us, but he can be simultaneously present in 16,000 different palaces, having individual relationship with 16,000 goddesses of fortune. In Dwarka, Narada Muni, he visited some of those palaces, and he was amazed to see. So our spiritual master, Krishna, he is in Krishna Loka. Krishna's in Krishna Loka, having pastimes, transcendental, eternal pastimes. So he doesn't attend actually to the activities of the conditioned souls in the material world. Krishna has so many expansions who have different duties, different roles, different responsibilities. Krishna expands himself as the all-pervasive super soul. The all-pervasive super soul. He's within everyone's heart. He's within the material creation, inside every atom and between every atom. In this way, Krishna is present. We're never out of touch with Krishna. Though we're sitting now on a chair, we're sitting on Krishna. We're walking on the earth, we're standing on Krishna. We're breathing the air, we're breathing in Krishna. So we're never, ever, ever out of touch with Krishna. And Krishna explains that from me in Bhagavad Gita comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. Matir smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Smriti, knowledge, jnanam, remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness, apohanam. So Krishna is in our heart. The spiritual master, he's not an ordinary human being. He's actually empowered. He's empowered by Krishna to take the role Shakti Avesh Avatar. Shakti Avesh Avatar. We sing every morning in our samsara prayers, Shakshad Hari Tuinath Samasta Shastra. That he has this energy of Hari, Shakshad Hari, that he can take the role of the all-pervasive super soul who is sitting within our hearts. That Srila Prabhupada can take the role. He takes the role. He's empowered by Krishna, Shakshad Hari, to take the role of the all-pervasive super soul within our hearts, that each of us can have a relationship. Srila Prabhupada in the Katha Upanishads explained that in this body there are two. There's the individual spirit soul, and there's the Paramatma, the all-pervasive super soul. They're like compared in the scripture as two birds sitting in the tree of this body. And one tree is trying to enjoy the fruits. One soul is trying to enjoy the fruits of the tree. We're trying to enjoy our senses and our false ego, like that, false sense of self. We're trying very much to fulfill ourselves in this way. And the other bird, the all-pervasive, so he's just watching us and waiting for us to turn to him. So in the same way, this is Srila Prabhupada's role. He's the external manifestation of the all-pervasive super soul within our heart. He appears before us because we can't see him with our material senses. And we can't see the all-pervasive super soul. So he appears before us, just like the deity on the altar, like Krishna appears on the altar in brass or in marble, and like in so many ways. Is an external manifestation of Krishna, who's all pervasive, who's everywhere simultaneously. In the same way, the bona fide spiritual master, Sakshat Hari, who's empowered with the energy of Krishna to take the role of the all-pervasive supersoul, the external manifestation of Krishna within our hearts, appearing right before us. So he's simply waiting for us. The two birds in the tree, the all-pervasive supersoul is waiting for the bird that's trying to enjoy the fruits of the tree, metaphor, of course, to turn to him. And as he turns to him with an attitude of surrender, this knowledge is provided, remembrance is provided. It's explained in Bhagavad Gita. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give them the knowledge by which they can come to me. So we cannot approach Krishna directly. So we approach Krishna through his bona fide representative, who's taking the role of the all-pervasive. He's empowered to take this role of the all-pervasive Lord in the heart. And as we turn to him, he gives us understanding. That's why we always remember him when we're chanting the holy name, because he's teaching us by example what love of Krishna is. There's no other way to understand how to chant Hare Krishna with feelings of love for Krishna, except to chant under the guidance of a pure devotee of the Lord. So, as far as possible, the chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that immediate effect can be achieved, that immediate effect that he plants the seed of devotional feeling, the seed of devotional service, that if we water that seed or meditate on that moment's association with the pure devotee, that watering of the seed, that seed will sprout. He gives us the seed of devotional service, if we can hear from the lips of a pure devotee. If we water that seed, which means to chant under his guidance, with the taste that we've imbibed in his association, that is watering the seed of devotion. Then that seed will germinate, and a devotional creeper will begin to grow. That's why we're chanting under the guidance of a pure devotee. That's why, as far as possible, the chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee. That's why when we're chanting, we should always be meditating on Krishna and Krishna's pure devotee. We're meditating on the feeling of devotion that he's sharing with us and cultivating that feeling of devotion through our own chanting. This is how we learn how to become devotees. By chanting Hare Krishna under the guidance, under the direction, in the association of a pure devotee of the Lord. And as this is what it means that the bird who has been for so many lifetimes trying to enjoy the fruits of the tree of this body is now turning to the supersoul in the form of the external manifestation of the Lord in the heart, who's our spiritual master. We're turning to him, and he's teaching us how to love Krishna. That's why he's waiting for us to turn to him so that he can share this, so that we can remember. From him comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. We turn to him for this remembrance of our constitutional position, because we're in forgetfulness of this love of Krishna. And the way that we wake up again our dormant love for Krishna is by chanting Hare Krishna under his guidance in mood of love of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada is there available to us as the all-pervasive super soul, and in this way he can accommodate all of us simultaneously. This is inconceivable to the material mind, but it's a transcendental fact. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada speaks in one lecture about how we chant Hare Krishna. This is a lecture from on chanting the holy name. We're talking about how to chant the holy name. This is a lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 10th chapter, verse number 2. It was given in 1973, in June 17th in Mayapur. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam buddhi yogam dadamitam. Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Srila Prabhupada speaks. Srila Prabhupada continues, if you are engaged satatam, 24 hours without any other engagement, sarva dharman parityagya, giving up all other nonsense business, sarva dharman, simply if you're engaged in Krishna's business, priti purvakam, with love, not as hackneyed. And then Srila Prabhupada gives an example of an attitude in which we are taking up this Krishna consciousness in a hackneyed manner. He says, he imitates our thinking. He said, Srila Prabhupada says, Here is a duty. Here's my duty. Oh, chanting Hare Krishna. All right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. You should hear that lecture. Srila Prabhupada's making fun of us, how we chant. Ah, here's the duty. Chanting Hare Krishna. All right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Then Srila Prabhupada said, not like that. With priti, with love. Chant every name. Hare Krishna. And here is Krishna. Here is Radharani. That kind of chanting. Quality. Not Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Not like that. Not like that. Priti. Tesham satata yuktanam. Srila Prabhupada now repeats this verse from Bhagavad Gita, that if we're engaged 24 hours, Krishna will help us from within the heart, how to come to him. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti. That priti, Srila Prabhupada says, that priti is required. That is the essential quality. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Bhagavad Gita 9:26. The real thing is bhakti. Krishna is not hungry. Or that verse that if you offer me a fruit, a flower, or a little water, if you offer with love, I'll accept it. So Srila Prabhupada says, real thing is bhakti. Krishna is not hungry, that you'll give him some good food and he'll eat it. Never mind in which way you give. In other words, never mind what your attitude is. He's saying that the attitude is important. And then he says, oh, he's imitating us again. Oh, here is Puri, halava. Krishna, Krishna must eat. He's saying that if we think we're giving something really nice, that Krishna has got to eat it. He says, Krishna is not hungry for your puri and halava. But if there is bhakti, if there is love, then he eats. Tadaham ashnami, then I eat. If there is bhakti, love, then our attitude is, oh, Krishna, what can I do for you? I'm so teeny and you're so great, but still, I'm trying to do something. If you will kindly eat. This is mantra. Real mantra is that. Not so many formalities of mantra. Krishna doesn't say, one who offers me with Vedic mantras. He never says that. He says bhakti with devotion. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining, so where do we get this love? That we have to engage in these practices, whether it's chanting the holy name or offering food on the altar, or whatever we're doing, sweeping the floor of the temple, sweeping the floor of our house. The house is also our temple because Krishna is the proprietor of every house. Krishna is in every house, but we have to acknowledge his presence. So how do we? Therefore, we have to chant the holy name under the guidance of the pure devotee who's chanting with love. As far as possible, the chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord. Only 1 moment's association can save us from this life of birth and death repetition. Because in that 1 moment, we can imbibe the taste. We can remember that 1 moment and cultivate that memory. It means we're cultivating the tiny seed of devotion that he's given us in that moment. And as Srila Haridas Thakur says, when we're chanting, we should always be meditating on our spiritual master. Because in that moment of association that we've had, we get the memory. We remember that moment. We remember that feeling that he's given us, and we're chanting now. We're engaging in Krishna conscious activity under the guidance of a pure devotee. Under the guidance of a pure devotee means cultivating devotion under his guidance. So this is how we're chanting Hare Krishna. There are different moods for chanting Hare Krishna, of course. Srila Prabhupada says that one could chant the holy name like the genuine crying of a child or a mother. Genuine crying of a child. Hey, put yourself on mute so that you don't come through to the lecture, PCD. So, genuine crying of the child for mother. And there's another way of chanting. And when people go to a football game, they're cheering for their team. Krishna is our hero, and Srimati Radharani is our heroine. And kirtan means glorification. We're cheering for them. And sometimes Krishna is doing so many different activities. He may be killing some demon. He may be lifting Govardhan Hill on one finger. He's lifting the whole hill. And all the residents of Vrindavan, they're underneath that hill, watching with great apprehension. Mother Yashoda is thinking how my little boy can hold that hill. Then there was another way of chanting when in the Mahabharata, the Pandavas, they're invited to Hastinapur, to the court of Maharaj Dhritarashtra. And the idea, they engaged the Pandavas in a great gambling match in which Shakuni, I believe he's the uncle of Duryodhana, he's very expert at playing with the dice. Anyway, in the gambling match, everything was lost. The Pandavas lost all their possessions, and then they were enticed to gamble their wife Draupadi. So Draupadi was not present in the court, but she was in her room in the palace, and she was lost in the gambling match. And Duryodhana sends his brother that he should go, and Dushasan should go and bring Draupadi to the court. Now she belongs to Duryodhana. And then they're humiliating, they're insulting and humiliating, taking pleasure in causing emotional pain to everyone, to the Pandavas, to Draupadi. So actually, Draupadi, when Duryodhana went to the palace of the Pandavas and couldn't see the illusion and the way that the palace was built, he mistook water in the palace, a pool of water in the palace floor for solid ground, and fell in the water. A very, very proud prince, Duryodhana, he falls in the water, and Draupadi saw this and she's laughing. So now here's Duryodhana's chance, how to become even, to humiliate her. So he gives the instruction to his brother, now you take the sari, you disrobe her right in the court. All the courtiers are present. Bhishma is there. Drona is there. Dhritarashtra is there. All the courtiers are there. And in that present, the Pandavas are there. The order is given in that court to take the sari from the body of Draupadi. And Draupadi, she's beside herself. She's a Kshatriya princess, the daughter of Maharaj Drupada. So she begins to cry to Krishna. Hey Krishna, hey Krishna. So what does Krishna do? He keeps feeding more and more cloth, so that while the sari is being pulled from the body of Draupadi, yards and yards and yards and yards of cloth are being heaped on the floor, and still she has sari on her body. Hey Krishna. So we can chant the holy name. That I'm suffering so much in this material world. Hey Krishna, please give me some shelter. Please give me some protection. So we can chant in that way too. Like genuine crying of a child for mother. Then there's another way of chanting. Chanting Vipralamba Seva. Vipralamba Seva means chanting or worshiping Krishna in the mood of separation. That then in Sikshastak, in this is nicely expressed. Lord Chaitanya is teaching us how to have this mood of separation from Krishna. Yeah, I'll read it in this book of Bhagavatam in the form That's Srila Prabhupada first brought it from India. Verse number 7. Oh Govinda. Because the Sikshastak is for chanting, instructions on chanting the holy name. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone. It can render all benediction upon the living being. Therefore, you have hundreds and millions of names. But unfortunate I have no attraction for chanting the holy name. So the different verses are the different stages. So in stage number 7, the devotee prays, oh Govinda, feeling your separation. I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more than that. And tears are flowing from my eyes, like torrents of rain. I'm feeling all vacant in the world in the absence of your presence. So this is the mood of separation, the mood of feeling separation from Krishna. This is what Lord Chaitanya is teaching by his own example. Similarly, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, the most intimate disciples, associates, eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya, and they are in this same mood. And there's Srinivasacharya. Srinivasacharya sings the prayers to the 6 Goswamis. And in prayer, there are 8 prayers in this prayer of 8 verses. And verse number 8. Hey Radhe Braja Devi Ke Chalalite. Hey Nanda Shuno Kuta. Shri Govardhana Kalpa Pada Patale Kalindi Vanye Kuta. Goshanta Vitisarvato Prajapure Kedar Mahavivalo Bande Rupa Sanatano Raguyago Srijivago Balako Mahavivalo. That madness. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who were chanting very loudly everywhere in Vrindavan, shouting, O Queen of Vrindavan Radharani, O Lalita, O son of Nanda Maharaj, where are you all now? Are you just on the hill of Govardhan? Or are you under the trees on the bank of the Yamuna? Where are you? And these were their moods in executing Krishna consciousness. So this is chanting Hare Krishna in the mood of separation. Srila Prabhupada further explains this mood of separation in the Krishna book at chapter 30. No, was it 30? No, 34. The gopis' feelings of separation from Krishna. The gopis of Vrindavan were so attached to Krishna, they were not satisfied simply dancing rasa dance with Krishna. At night, they wanted to associate with him and enjoy his company during the daytime also. When Krishna went to the forest with his cowherd boyfriends and cows, the gopis did not physically take part, but their hearts went with him. And because their hearts went, they were able to enjoy his company through these strong feelings of separation. To acquire this strong feeling of separation is the teaching of Lord Chaitanya and his direct disciplic succession of Goswamis. To acquire this strong feeling of separation is actually the teaching of Lord Chaitanya and his direct disciplic succession of Goswami. When we're not in physical contact with Krishna, we can associate with him like the gopis through feelings of separation. I'm skipping ahead. Devotional service to Krishna and feelings of separation elevates the devotee to the highest perfectional level, to the level of the gopis. Okay, so how do we get it? This is explained in the next paragraph. How do we catch up that mood? It is stated in Srinivasacharya's prayer to the 6 Goswamis that they left the material opulence of government service. They were practically running the country or the state and the princely status of life, and they left everything and went to Vrindavan, where they lived just like ordinary mendicants. Begging from door to door. But they were so much enriched with the gopis' feelings of separation that they enjoyed transcendental pleasure at every moment, feeling this love for Krishna in the mood of separation. They enjoyed transcendental pleasure at every moment. Similarly, when Lord Chaitanya was at Jagannath Puri, he was in the role of Radharani, feeling the separation of Krishna. Now, here's his statement. Next sentence is for us, instruction. Those who are in the disciplic succession of the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, they should also feel the separation of Krishna. Worship his transcendental form and discuss his transcendental teachings, his pastimes, his qualities, his entourage, his associations. Now, where do we get this mood of separation? The spiritual master should enrich the devotees to the highest devotional perfection, feeling constant separation while engaged in the service of the Lord is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. So here it is said that those who are in the disciplic succession of the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, they should also feel this separation. And where do they get? The spiritual masters should enrich the devotees to the highest devotional perfection. So we have to learn from our spiritual master, the bona fide spiritual master, who has this quality of love of God in his heart, to cultivate Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that we can imbibe the taste of real devotion. There's one prayer. This is on chanting Hare Krishna. We're talking about how we chant Hare Krishna. There's one prayer. They're describing how Lord Chaitanya played the role of a devotee coming to the stage of ecstatic love of God. And the 18th chapter of Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada writes, the process of cultivating Krishna consciousness. The process is that the bona fide spiritual master chants the mantra. And the sound vibration enters the ear of the disciple. And if the disciple chants with equal feeling, that becomes the worship of the holy name. And then the holy name spreads his glories in the heart of such a disciple. Similarly, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in one prayer, a prayer to the spiritual master. I offer you all respect, for thus I may acquire the energy by which I can know you correctly. Then, by chanting the holy name with feelings of ecstasy, all my offenses will cease. He wants to learn from his spiritual master how to chant Hare Krishna. There's one more prayer by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In our songbook, he's praying to the spiritual master, oh, you who are always tasting the nectar of the holy name, when will I hold your feet? Until the end of time. When, oh when, will that day be mine? So, this is how we chant Hare Krishna. Of course, anybody can chant Hare Krishna. They don't have to have a bona fide spiritual master. And they don't have to understand how to learn that that actually having a spiritual master, like Srila Prabhupada says, it's not a fad, people. This is my guru, who's your guru. One has to have a spiritual master who's a pure devotee, who always has an intimate relationship with Krishna alive in his heart, and learn from him that the spiritual master will enrich us with these feelings if we approach him with all humility. So this is how we learn to chant Hare Krishna. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not qualified to talk about such things, but nor am I on the platform of practicing these things. I'm a neophyte devotee, very, very neophyte devotee, but together with your help I'm trying to understand what is this process of devotional service for those who are really interested in becoming devotees, pure devotees. That's why we discuss these things. It's not that we pretend that to be on this platform. Actually, the devotees who are on this platform, they do not make an expression of these feelings, but they keep them hidden within their heart. And some here and there now, there are people who are pretending that they're in ecstasy. Yeah. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he was present, he had such people locked in prison. But because there's no government today, only run by foolish people, by demons actually, who are doing atrocious things all over the world, pretending to be government leader. They do not discipline such foolish people who are making these pretensions. Well, but at least even I feel I can't do it. Let me understand that I have to come to this platform. I have to come to this stage where I begin to meditate on the feelings of my spiritual master when I chant the holy name. I have to begin to understand, at least conceptually, that this is how I can become a devotee. In the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, coming from Lord Chaitanya, who's teaching us how to chant Hare Krishna in the moods of separation from Krishna. So we're sharing this understanding. This for people who actually want to become devotees. They're not taking up the chanting of kirtan as some kind of popular fad in the Western culture, with no understanding of what it means at all. But we actually, because we're students in this association, we're trying to understand how we actually, that by chanting, "Oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction upon the living beings." And therefore you have hundreds and thousands of names. Through this chanting of the holy name, one can come to the highest stage of devotional service, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction. So, next verse is that if one can chant the holy name in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street, devoid of all sense of false prestige, not wanting respect from anyone, but being willing to offer, ready to offer the highest respect to others, that becomes the worship of the holy name. How do we offer the highest respect to others? We offer the highest respect to others. I heard one lecture early this morning that we realize that nobody in the material world is doing anything. But the super soul in everyone's heart is the mover of every body. Supplying the intelligence, supplying the knowledge, supplying remembrance, supplying forgetfulness, supplying everything, and moving every body. So everyone is that we interact with, we're dealing with Krishna. Just like in the Bible, it says, Jesus talks about turning the other cheek. If somebody slaps on one cheek, we offer them the other cheek also to slap. How can one do this? If one can understand that the mover in every body is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one can cultivate that kind of humility. Oh, my Lord, you want to slap me through that body? Here's my other cheek. So that's a recognition of Paramatma within the heart, super soul realization. One who has a personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada has super soul realization because he's the external manifestation of the Lord in the heart, not different. Having a personal heart-to-heart relationship with Srila Prabhupada, living on that platform is not different from Paramatma realization. It's not different from the individual soul turning to the super soul within the heart. And from him comes knowledge and remembrance of our constitutional position as devotees. So simply by living in a conscious awareness of and cultivating that relationship with Srila Prabhupada, his mood of devotional service, we will become that saturated. Our hearts will become saturated with his feelings. That is how we become devotees. That is how we can become devotees. Actually, there's no other way. It comes from him. We sing every morning. Prema Bhakti Ahahoite. From him this love comes. From him Krishna Prem emanates. If we can catch it, avidya vinashayate. Our ignorance is destroyed. When the light comes on the darkness, from him this love. So this is how we chant Hare Krishna, under his guidance, feeling his presence, and asking him, please let me be with you. Please let me understand. You want a simple exercise? How to become closer to Srila Prabhupada? Take one of his bhajans. Anyone you like. And sing it with him, trying to feel what he's feeling. And even you don't understand all the words in the Bengali or Sanskrit language, simply trying to feel him. He will enter your heart and knowledge will begin. Anyone can do that. Therefore, we say, in the very first recording that Srila Prabhupada made on the LP record, in the 66, as far as possible, the chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that immediate effect can be achieved. Thank you very much.
Jai.
Jai.
So, Ishan Prabhu, thank you very much for describing how one should chant. I took some notes. The chanting must be heard from the lips of a pure devotee. One moment's association can save us from this most dangerous position we're in. And one question I have, well, our classes are specifically focused on Srila Prabhupada, so people can say there are many pure devotees, but we here are specifically saying that Srila Prabhupada is the only pure devotee that we um, take shelter of. So I had a question from one devotee. Said are there other pure devotees in the ISKCON movement that we can take shelter of, who are chanting purely? So how would we? Is it the question of realization and understanding that we take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, or is it?
As pure devotional service is very, very rare. That's Nectar of Devotion, first chapter. Very, very rare. And these, all of the members of the disciplic succession, they're coming from the spiritual world. This is described in one letter. Srila Prabhupada says that most of the members of our disciplic succession, they are nitya siddha. They're eternally liberated souls. Nitya means eternal, and siddha means perfection. Eternally perfect spirit souls coming from the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada says most of them are manjaris, gopis, and some of them are cowherd boys. So we sing every morning. What is that? After Nikunchai Runo Rati Kelly Siddhai. Yaya Labir Juktir Pekshaniya. That the spiritual master is very expert in the spiritual world. He has his role in the spiritual, is very much expert in assisting the gopis who are engaged in the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal love affairs. At different times, they make different tasteful arrangements for such spiritual exchange between Radha and Krishna. And our spiritual master is there to assist in these affairs. Do you think that if somebody is elected by the votes of some collection of GBCs or whatever, that number one, that they need that such a person needs their votes in order to be a spiritual master? He needs their votes. One should ask his spiritual master, are you, is this who you are? Are you always engaged in the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal love affairs? How foolish.
Yeah.
How foolish. And some of these men periodically are losing their position. They can't even behave like neophyte devotees. Some of them are being accused. Yes, some of them are being accused of having sexual molestation of their students. Do you think someone who's on such a high level can be a pure devotee?
No way. Yeah.
There's a word, I look up words, I'm attracted to words, and I look them up in the dictionary online. Ludicrous. Ludicrous means so foolish, so ridiculous that it's laughable. that the people to take such a person as my spiritual master, they do not even understand what is the relationship with a pure devotee, the way we've been describing today, nor do they even attempt to cultivate that kind of relationship. Or when they're chanting, or you say, when you're chanting, are you chanting under the guidance of your spiritual master, pure devotee? No, because he told me to chant, so I'm chanting. but, but they don't know, but they have no even idea of the basic philosophy that we have to cultivate devotion under the
Right.
guidance of someone who has devotion. What to
Right.
speak of? So
Yeah.
these are, in other words, that is why Srila Prabhupada says to have a spiritual master is not a fad,
Uh-huh.
because that is what it's become. And that is what ISKCON is.
Mm.
That people are having a so-called quote unquote guru, but they don't even understand philosophically what is our relationship with the guru, how to learn from a guru, what are the qualifications of a guru. That understanding not there. Otherwise, they would have nothing to do with these people. So if the man has memorized a few verses and can talk on the basis of Shastra, it doesn't mean that he has this. What Srila Prabhupada says in 10th canto purports, that Diksha means the establishment of a heart-to-heart relationship with a pure devotee who always has Krishna in his heart. And unless one spiritual master always is a person who always has Krishna in their heart, the disciple cannot come to the platform of always carrying Krishna in their heart.
Yes.
So, in other words, as Srila Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion, the spiritual master has to be bona fide and the disciple has to be bona fide. so,
Mm.
so that it's total ignorance, but what can be done?
Yeah.
But even amongst those who are calling themselves Ritvik,
Mm.
how many of them are thinking along these lines?
Probably next to none.
I don't hear it. I don't hear it in their classes. I would live with devotees in ISKCON for some 10, 12 years. And I never heard one class where this subject that we're discussing, it was described, not one. So what to speak of that, they're pure devotees. So but we're talking because we want to understand, we want to dwell on the understanding of our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, and we want to discuss it with other devotees who are interested.
Yeah.
I, so that together we can, this is how we grow. This is what we want. I need your association. We need each other's association to keep this alive in our hearts. So there's one quote in the Bhagavatam where Srila Prabhupada says, in order to maintain the status quo of a liberated stage, one should immediately and repeatedly describe this path of devotional service. That's what we're doing in order to keep ourselves alive. But that people are practicing Krishna consciousness in ISKCON or outside of ISKCON, very, very few. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada insists, read my books, read my books. I was in a room with Srila Prabhupada And with Atreya Rishi, he was one of those GBC types, and he was asking Srila Prabhupada about something in the class of Bhagavatam from the morning, and about what was the word? Not penance. I forget.
Atonement.
Atonement. And Srila Prabhupada said, "The atonement is to read my books." he shouted, because we don't. Because all of this, everything I'm describing is in our books. And but they're not aware. They say, as Srila Prabhupada talks sarcastically, sardonically about us keeping the formula, quote unquote, he said, mechanically doing these practices. He says it will never, never mechanically doing these practices will never, never come to the point of developing love of Krishna. He says, yes, they're so powerful that there will be a mitigation of the unwanted, superfluous miseries of material existence. He says, doing these practices mechanically, there will be a mitigation of the unwanted, superfluous miseries of material existence. They'll give a feeling of liberation for the moment that we're engaged, but it will not reawaken our dormant love of Krishna. That can only be acquired through the association of a pure devotee of the Lord. So he says, how is one going to find out if their spiritual master is a pure devotee? He says blind following is condemned in Bhagavad Gita purport 434. That is called blind following. Real following is to have this relationship and see if the spiritual master can teach me something. But they don't need. But if people don't even understand these basic philosophical ideas, but otherwise, I'm not qualified to say who's a pure devotee and who's not a pure devotee. But
But we know who is a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada.
Well, he's empowered to what he has done. As Srila Prabhupada said, he writes in his books, unless he's actually empowered by Krishna, no one could have done what he did.
Right.
No one could have done.
So we have, I think, one more question and then we'll wind it out.
I'm with you.
Ishan, you were talking about how devotees take diksha to establish a heart-to-heart connection with Sri Guru. But in some cases, is that heart-to-heart connection not established? Like they take diksha without having that heart-to-heart connection that you were talking about?
I'm not sure what the question is, but
The question again.
Okay, you were saying that devotees take diksha initiation to establish a heart-to-heart connection with Srila Prabhupada. And my question is, do some people take diksha and they don't establish a heart-to-heart connection?
I don't know any of us who have that heart-heart connection, because if we did, we'd be already pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada says diksha in the 10th canto means, that is what diksha means, to the establishment of that heart-to-heart connection. It's in the 10th canto purports. He said, unless one has a living relationship with a pure devotee who always has Krishna in his heart, the disciple cannot acquire the power to carry Krishna in their heart. And this is the meaning of diksha, to establish the heart-to-heart relationship. In other words, you're saying, when you're saying so those who have Diksha and don't have a heart-to-heart relationship, that's a contradiction against Srila Prabhupada's definition of Diksha. Diksha means the establishment of that heart-to-heart connection and not the ceremony. You're talking about the ceremony, which Srila Prabhupada says, oh, the ceremony, that's beside the point. The ceremony is not the initiation. The connection with the heart-to-heart is the initiation. It is Diksha. In other words, they've never had Diksha.
Jai. All right. I think that was a satisfactory answer. Jai. Prabhu.
Therefore, we have to try to understand our philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Oh, so we talk about it. We talk about it, and to kindle Srila Prabhupada's thinking, feeling, and willing. If there's ice cream in the fridge, in the freezer, I think of it, thinking, then I remember the taste, the feeling, and then I say, I want it. And we're off walking towards the freezer.
Yeah.
So then, in the same way, this thinking and feeling and willing, we're trying to apply this to our discussions in Krishna consciousness, and that we think about it, and it arouses feelings in our heart and desire that we want it. Then we'll we'll begin to pray for guidance and help. Please, and we'll pray to Srila Prabhupada like the prayers in our songbook. Please let me be with you. Except for you, I have no good qualities. Please let me be with you. So, thinking, feeling, and willing. So we're trying to get ourselves to the point of first understanding the philosophy, and then invoking a desire to engage on that, and then saying, I want it. And then praying with humility. As Srila Prabhupada said in his Vyas Puja address, last sentence, therefore let us bow down, take shelter at his lotus feet with all the humility at our command, like that. Yeah. It's not that Srila Prabhupada's hiding from us. He's waiting for us. He's like the Yakatha Upanishad says, two birds in the same tree, and the witnessing bird is waiting for the other bird to turn to him. He's waiting for us to turn to him. Not hiding, just waiting for us.
All right. Right. So we're at about 1 hour and 26 minutes. Thank you, Ishan Prabhu, for this wonderful, lively discussion. The title would be, what's the title? How to chant Hare Krishna, right?
On chanting
Hare Krishna, yes.
On chanting.
Okay. And then we'll continue our meetings next week, same time, 5 a.m. my time, Sunday mornings. And we'll have Ishan Prabhu, right? Go ahead, Ishan Prabhu.
As I say, I'm not qualified to speak on these things, but I'm hoping that by talking about them, to strengthen the sense of what is our orientation.
Right. Thank you very much, Ishan Prabhu. We'll see you next week.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.